In 17th century India, survival required a massive military. On this map, the subcontinent is carved into territories where army size dictated power. From the north, the Mughal Empire pushed southward, its sheer scale threatening to absorb the fractured southern kingdoms of the Deccan. For these local factions, the resource gap was staggering. They faced a mathematics of defeat: fewer men, less wealth, and a fraction of the firepower held by the northern giants. This created a persistent historical problem. In an age of empires, how does a small, outgunned force avoid being erased from the map? In 1630, Shivaji Bhonsle was born here, at Shivneri Fort. It was a childhood spent in the shadow of these stone walls and the rugged peaks of Maharashtra. His mother, Jijabai, provided the ideological foundation for his life. She rejected the idea of simple survival through subjugation, instead framing a future centered on Swarajya, the establishment of a self-governed, independent state. Early on, Shivaji observed that traditional warfare, marching heavy infantry onto open plains, played directly into the hands of his wealthier enemies. To fight them on their terms was a path to certain collapse. His solution was a shift in perspective. If he couldn't match the size of an imperial army, he would find a way to make that size a liability. Shivaji looked to the Sahyadri Mountains as more than just scenery. He treated this geography as a primary strategic asset. His doctrine, Ganimi Kava, or guerrilla warfare, prioritized speed and surprise. A massive, rigid imperial force loses its advantage when compressed into narrow bottlenecks. Small, mobile Maratha units utilized hit-and-run tactics, striking the vulnerable edges and retreating into the cliffs before a counterattack. At 16, Shivaji captured Torna Fort. This was the first major evidence that high-elevation, rocky defenses could hold a small force against a larger opponent. This strategy forced a stalemate. Traditional armies found themselves unable to secure a decisive victory against an opponent who refused to stay in their sights. The Maratha movement eventually faced its first major test when the Bijapur Sultanate dispatched their general Afzal Khan to end the rebellion. Khan used a common tactic. He proposed a personal, one-on-one meeting to discuss peace terms, planning to use the encounter to assassinate Shivaji. Expecting a betrayal, Shivaji's intelligence verified the threat. He arrived with iron chainmail hidden beneath his tunic, anticipating exactly how the strike would land. When Khan lunged, the iron armor held. Shivaji immediately countered with a concealed weapon, the Wagh Nok, or tiger claws, ending the threat instantly. His survival that day wasn't a matter of luck. It was the result of building a response to a threat before that threat even materialized. Eventually, the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb personally intervened. He saw Shivaji as a sophisticated threat to the stability of his southern borders. In 1666, Shivaji was invited to the court in Agra, only to be placed under strict house arrest deep within the Mughal heartland. Knowing he was heavily guarded, Shivaji began feigning a severe illness for months. He used this time to habituate the guards to the daily sight of large baskets of sweets being sent out as gifts to local saints. Once guards stopped inspecting the routine deliveries, Shivaji and his son hid inside the baskets and were carried right past the imperial security. This escape exposed a critical flaw. The Mughal system relied on physical containment, unable to account for a prisoner exploiting a single psychological opening. By 1674, the Maratha territories had expanded and solidified. Raigad Fort became the administrative center of this new power. Here, Shivaji underwent a formal coronation, assuming the title of Chhatrapati. This wasn't a symbolic gesture. It was a diplomatic strategy. By crowning himself, he formally established Swarajya as a sovereign state with a legal right to exist on the world stage. As a ruler, Shivaji moved beyond military tactics. He established a professional navy, reorganized tax systems to be equitable, and implemented protections for agricultural workers. He also institutionalized a strict ethical code for his military, which included explicit bans on harming civilians and a requirement to protect women during campaigns. Although he passed away in 1680, the administrative and military structures he built allowed Maratha influence to persist as a major political force for over a century. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj demonstrated that strategy and a commitment to justice can bridge a massive gap in resources. It's a legacy that shows how a clear purpose, paired with better planning, can shift the course of history.